I'm a private investigator. I've got this envelope that says Super Mayor. Inside I have from the United States District Court, Northern District of Illinois.
Tiffany Henyard in court today over illegal appointments she allegedly made for several positions inside the village, among them.
It's the scandal that's rocked Thornton Township and Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard. The self-proclaimed super mayor has been arrested by federal agents after years of controversy, allegations, and some would say outright chaos. Her dramatic rise and even more sensational fall have left the community divided and the nation intrigued. From accusations of reckless spending to bold public stunts, Henyard is no stranger to the spotlight. But today, her once defiant image as a trailblazing leader is overshadowed by mounting legal troubles and a federal investigation that's been quietly brewing for years. So how did the super mayor find herself in handcuffs? And what does this mean for the community she vowed to lead?
Of court, the judge today declining to hold her in contempt, but did warn her that if she did not follow the ruling, he would.
To truly understand the magnitude of Henyard's arrest, let's rewind to the beginning of her tenure as mayor of Dolton and supervisor of Thornton Township. From the moment she took office, Henyard made it clear she wasn't going to be a traditional politician. She branded herself as a larger-than-life figure, plastering her face across billboards, event flyers, and even village welcome signs. She didn't just want to lead, she wanted the world to know she was leading. Her bold persona won her admirers, with many praising her for being an approachable and dynamic leader. But for every supporter, there were just as many critics who accused her of self-promotion and using public resources to bolster her image, rather than serve the community.
Last month, the judge issued a temporary restraining order blocking her from making those appointments without approval from trustees.
It wasn't long before cracks began to show in Henyard's leadership. Allegations of financial misconduct started to surface, with reports of extravagant spending on luxury travel, lavish events, and personal indulgences funded by taxpayers. Residents were outraged as they watched their mayor spend tens of thousands of the community's hard-earned money on questionable expenses. One particularly shocking revelation involved a staggering $43,000 spent on Amazon in a single day, allegedly charged to village accounts. The purchases range from high-end furniture to unexplained items, leaving many wondering, was their money being used to improve the community or fund Henyard's lifestyle? Henyard's spending habits became a lightning rod for criticism. Public trust began to erode, and heated debates erupted in village meetings. Trustees and residents demanded answers, but Henyard, ever the defiant leader, dismissed the accusations as politically motivated attacks. She often took to social media to air her grievances, using fiery live broadcasts to call out her critics by name. "I all are just jealous," she declared in one infamous video. "You don't want to see a strong black woman in power." While her supporters rallied behind her, applauding her for standing up to what they saw as baseless attacks, her detractors argued that she was dodging accountability and using identity politics to deflect from her actions.
Now she's teasing a big announcement that she claims will result in some of her opponents being arrested and charged.
As the controversies piled up, so did the tension between Henyard and the Dolton Village Board of Trustees. Meetings often descended into chaos, with shouting matches and walkouts becoming the norm. Trustees accused Henyard of overstepping her authority, while she accused them of sabotage. In one particularly volatile meeting, Henyard stormed out after being heckled by residents and trustees alike, shouting, "You all should be ashamed of yourselves." These public spats painted a picture of a leader at odds with her own administration, further fueling the perception that Henyard's leadership was more about drama than governance.
Tiffany Henyard making a late appearance at the Dolton Village Board meeting this evening. That meeting was being held at the Park District building since Village Hall cannot legally accommodate the crowds at a typical meeting.
One of the most contentious moments of her tenure came when Henyard appointed Ronnie Burge as interim police chief of Dolton. Burge's state certification was reportedly inactive at the time, leading to accusations that he was unqualified for the role. Trustees argued that Henyard's decision was not only reckless but illegal, as it bypassed board approval. A judge later ruled that Burge could serve in an interim capacity, but the damage to Henyard's reputation was already done. Critics saw the appointment as yet another example of her putting personal loyalty above the community's best interests.
For months, there is a new legal battle brewing in Dolton between the mayor and some village trustees.
As Regina Waldrop explains, it has a lot to do with two meetings held earlier this week.
The controversies didn't end there. Allegations emerged that Henyard had used the Dolton Police Department as her personal enforcement squad, targeting businesses and individuals who opposed her. One business owner claimed his company was shut down after he refused to donate to one of Henyard's events. Another alleged that Henyard weaponized police raids to intimidate her critics. These accusations, while unproven, added to the growing sense of unease among residents, many of whom felt their mayor was more interested in consolidating power than serving the community. Meanwhile, Henyard's financial decisions continued to raise eyebrows. A preliminary report by former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who was hired to investigate Dolton's finances, revealed that the village's general fund balance had plummeted from over $5 million in 2022 to a deficit of nearly $4 million by mid-2024. Lightfoot's report also disclosed that Henyard had used the village credit card to make purchases at retailers like Target, Walgreens, and Wayfair. One particularly jaw-dropping statement revealed that Henyard had spent over $30,000 in a single day on Amazon. Critics argued that these expenditures were not only excessive but emblematic of a leader who prioritized personal comfort over fiscal responsibility.
We believe strongly that that meeting was improperly called and improperly held. The residents of Dolton.
Amid these controversies, Henyard's bold public persona remained intact. She continued to host events like turkey giveaways and holiday parties, using these occasions to rally her supporters and defend her record. But even as she maintained a loyal base of fans, the cracks in her administration were becoming impossible to ignore. Trustees began to openly criticize her leadership, accusing her of alienating allies and fostering a climate of mistrust. One former assistant described her as operating with a my way or the highway mentality, further deepening the divisions within the community.
2 agendas, 2 meetings in different locations. It was a little confusing for some residents, but the meeting here at Village Hall canceled after a few minutes because they didn't have a quorum.
As the tensions escalated, federal investigators quietly began building their case against Henyard. The investigation, which had been underway for months, focused on allegations of financial misconduct, mismanagement of township resources, and possible backroom deals. The arrest of one of Henyard's top allies earlier this year was seen as a turning point, with many speculating that he had agreed to cooperate with authorities in exchange for leniency. With each passing day, the walls were closing in on Henyard.
A Dolton home that she leased to Mayor Tiffany Henyard has filed eviction papers. She says Henyard has not paid her rent, and now she wants
The federal investigation also reportedly uncovered questionable hiring practices during Henyard's tenure, with allegations that key positions were filled based on personal loyalty rather than qualifications. Sources close to the investigation suggested that some appointees lacked the necessary experience for their roles but were granted high salaries, further straining township finances. One such hire allegedly received a 6-figure salary while contributing little to daily operations, a move critics argue was emblematic of Henyard's prioritization of allies over public service. These revelations have fueled speculation that the investigation may expand to include other members of Henyard's administration, potentially creating an even broader legal fallout. Additionally, documents obtained by investigators hinted at a pattern of financial irregularities tied to township contracts. Several vendors who received lucrative deals were reportedly linked to Henyard's political fundraising efforts, raising concerns about ethical violations. Critics have pointed to these findings as evidence of a pay-to-play culture under Henyard's leadership, where contracts were allegedly awarded based on favoritism rather than competitive bidding. For many in the community, these allegations have solidified their belief that Henyard's administration operated with little regard for transparency, further tarnishing her already embattled reputation.
Called our security firm, we made sure they had wands, and we also told our board to come upstairs due to the fact they had several ways to exit out of the building.
When federal agents finally descended on her Dolton home, witnesses described a dramatic scene. Henyard's boyfriend, Kamal Woods, reportedly watched as she was led into custody. While the exact charges remain under wraps, sources suggest they include embezzlement, misuse of public funds, and obstruction of justice. The arrest sent shockwaves through Dolton and Thornton Township, leading residents to grapple with the implications of their mayor's dramatic downfall. The community's reaction has been as divided as Henyard's tenured self. Critics, who have long decried her actions as reckless and self-serving, feel vindicated. It's about time that this sociopath is held accountable for stealing from the taxpayers, one resident commented on social media. Meanwhile, her supporters remain steadfast, arguing that the arrest is a politically motivated attack on a leader who dared to challenge the status quo. The community that elected her deserves her, another commenter quipped, reflecting the deep divisions that Henyard's leadership has left in its wake.
You are a clown. We will continue to speak out against wrongdoing. Why won't you step down?
So what does Henyard's arrest mean for the future of Dolton and Thornton Township? For some, it represents an opportunity to rebuild trust and restore integrity to local government. But for others, it's a sobering reminder of the consequences of unchecked ambition and a lack of accountability. As the federal investigation unfolds, the community is left to reflect on what Henyard's rise and fall says about their own role in electing and supporting her. Was she a misunderstood trailblazer who fell victim to political adversaries, or a leader whose audacity and ambition ultimately led to her undoing? In the end, one thing is clear: Henyard's arrest marks the end of an era for Dolton and Thornton Township. Her bold leadership style, once celebrated by her supporters, now serves as a cautionary tale of what can happen when power is unchecked and transparency is ignored. As the dust settles, the community must grapple with the legacy of a leader who promised to break barriers but left behind a trail of controversy and division. What lessons will Dolton and Thornton Township take from this experience, and how will they move forward? Let us know in the comments, because this is one story that's only just beginning to unfold. Stay tuned, folks, it's going to be a wild ride.